Good evening, everyone. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals IGP Bangladesh. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals IGP Bangladesh. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us till the end. Honorable knowledge seekers, today I am your host for the evening. My name is Aritra Vashak and I am from Bangladesh. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global vendor. IGP is an social and ISO certified international training institute. In last 3 years, we already served 3 million knowledge seekers from 100 plus countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 250 plus professions and 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professional IGP is the training faculty for skill development which was founded in 2020 and is generating competent candidates to meet demand in the global labor market by providing professionals qualifications. The Institute of Global Professionals is an educational institute that provides social work globally recognized and reputable. We serve students and community resource providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skill just by acquiring formal education. So we provide effective training and consulting to generation generate proficient and generation all over the world. We distribute our service locally, nationally, and internationally to students, job seekers, job holders, and also our learners, though respective campus location and distance learning platform. We are an occupational and dependent institution. IGP is one of the most famous online institute from all over the world. Our vision is education is not a business product, it's a part of our human rights. So based on our vision, we are trying to reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminars, courses, awards, certificate, quiz competition, mentoring, and counseling, etc. On the other hand, we are trying to serve more than 100 premium service for like create own portfolio website, resume builder, cover letter, motivation letter, and world knowledge platform, knowledge which can argue it all this. Create learning games and websites, free courses, convert sites, and many, many more. We help to empower to youth meet their expectations and dreams and becomes highly skilled people. We implement several training programs, webinars, and offline online courses for youth and learners by professionals, trainers, speakers, and coaches. Our sessions are conducted by global renowned and professionals to develop all kinds of youth and to promote the education of their abilities and personalities. To ensure excellent and in-depth instruction, we arranged with qualified trainers, speakers, and instructors. We extended free service to more than 3 million knowledge seekers in last 3 years. We have affiliations with universities and organizations in 70 different countries. Virtual mouse signing with many colleges and organizations have been accomplished. We are working to create legendary generation of future scholars and citizens who will be accountable. We are constantly prepared to assist all knowledge seekers with valuable service. Spreading knowledge crucial for the Institute of Global Professionals. We believe that knowledge is love, light, and vision. We are trying to understand the needs of today's generation and will be served then with good research and practiced method. We must have a genuine concern for the learners. We represent more diversity, growth, and innovation, and prepare to lead a session with professionalism, passion, and integrity. IG members are committed to offering effective, best quality service and continual improvement so that individual who seeks information and improve their skill levels and values. Before we move to the next, let me remind, don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Before we move to the next, let me remind, don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Moving to the next, we already completed to 100 1289 webinars successfully. Wow. Moving to the next, we are going to support. We already completed 1289 webinars successfully. Wow. At present, we are going to start our 1290 program. Name is Reflective Pedagogical Approach in Education. And our today's speaker, Ma'am Hanan Kariza, Kavantok Valley. And our today's speaker name is Ma'am Hanan Kariza, Kavantok Valley. Before I hand over the stage, ma'am, want to share a little bit about our speaker. She is at Finansico Benitage Memorial Schools and District ICT Coordinator and School Information Coordinator. Assurance, Quality Assurance, Technical Assistant, Monitoring and Evaluation Society. Wait a minute. Now very important moment for me. Now very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with her presentation. Now very important moment for me to invite our speaker IGP with her presentation. Hello ma'am.
Hello, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to everyone.
Good evening ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, on behalf of IGP Knowledge Seekers, want to share from you about you ma'am. Is about yourself.
Oh, yes.
Introduce yourself.
Yes. My name is Hannah Carissa Cabantog Valle from Laguna, Philippines, and I am proud that I have here a presentation for IGP and to all the other participants that we have, whether they are educators or not. Before, I was just one of the participants also in IGP trainings, and now I am one of the presenters and speakers right now. And first of all, I also would like to thank everyone from IGP, especially our ICT team and our technical assistance team for guiding me into joining for today's activity and presentation. That would be all. Thank you.
Thank you ma'am. Ma'am, the stage is yours. Please, you can start your presentation.
Thank you. So for tonight's presentation, first, I'm Hannah Carissa Valle from the Department of Education from Francisco Benitez Memorial School in SDO Laguna, Pagsanghan. And I am holding the position of the District ICT Coordinator, School Information Coordinator, and Academy Associate, which is for quality assurance, technical assistance, and monitoring and evaluation. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, and good afternoon also. So, first, we have here a statement, a phrase from Generou and Thompson. They said that reflection is seldom part of the day's education. And I believe most of the educators agree with this because perhaps most of the students think that learning is memorizing facts. That's why a lot of teachers were saying that the students nowadays usually just memorize from the book. That's why they call them bookish. And as education continues, it shifts away from passive learning towards greater student autonomy and active strategies. It has created more student centered and experiential learning opportunities while also enabling students to become more responsible, self directed learners. This is with the aid and help of reflective thinking and reflective approach in education. Now, Kolb's traditional learning cycle, as he had mentioned and proposed in 1984, that we can follow this experiential and traditional learning cycle wherein we use concrete experience and we reflect based on our observation from our concrete experience, and then we have an abstract conceptualization of it, and then we proceed with active experimentation based on our reflective observation and conceptualization after that we have experienced it. Now, this is another flow of our reflective and experiential learning and experience wherein we have an active experimentation wherein we plan and try out what was learned from our experience, and then there will be doing or having an experience after planning, and after experiencing it there will be a reflective observation wherein we review or we reflect from our experience, and after reflecting on it again we conceptualize. We are going to conclude what is our learning from our experience. So after experiencing it, we conceptualize from ourselves what had happened, what have we done, and then we have to conceptualize what can we do better to make it become better the next time that we experience it. Now, Andrea Corney put together the experiential learning cycles from David Kolb, Roger Greenway, and Chris Argris and Donald Tron, and she proposed that it can be simplified into act, reflect, conceptualize, and apply. Because when we act, we concrete our experience, we use the facts, and then there is our theory of action. And then when we reflect, this is our reflective observation. This is how we feel of what we have done in the past or what we are doing in the present based on our experience. And then this is also the part where we assess our behavior and the consequences of the action, which is a part of the act process. And then after reflection, we conceptualize and we reapply it. So this is just a continuous cycle. In simpler words, we can just pose it as doing it, what has happened, and so what are we going to do, and then now what are we going to do next time differently to make our experience better or to have a better outcome of our actions. Now, according to John Dewey, we do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on one's experience. um, Others says that experience is the best teacher, but according to John Dewey, we learn from reflecting on our experience, because when we experience something, whether that is good or bad, we reflect from it, and when we experience something good, of course we can um, repeat or redo it the same way. But if we wanted to make it better, of course we are going to reflect from our experience and think of ways to make the outcomes better. Now, experiences alone do not necessarily lead to learning. It is an active and the active conscious reflection of one's experiences, emotions, actions, and responses that is essential. And I believe this is essential not only for our students, but even to us adults as we experience things in our lives every day. Now, what is reflection? We have been talking about reflection since the beginning, but first we have to be able to identify what is reflection. Now, reflection is a process of thinking, evaluating, and making sense of existing experiences, as well as planning for future experiences. Of course, this is what happened to us in the past. We think about it and then we evaluate as to what has happened to us. And we have to make sense to ourselves what has happened and what are the experiences that we've had or currently experiencing. And with reflection, we think of the future experiences that we may encounter. Reflection is also an integral component of both self knowledge and self regulation. Again, this is not only applicable to our students, and this can also be applied in our daily life. Our self regulation allows an individual to be able to evaluate, to monitor, and to improve ourselves. And I hope everyone agrees that self regulation is needed not because we wanted to limit ourselves, but because we wanted to see if we have been improving and to make ourselves better. Now, reflective thinking is active, persistent, and careful consideration of our beliefs, our supposed form of knowledge, the grounds that support our knowledge, and further conclusions to which knowledge leads. And reflective thinking also frees us from impulsive and routine activities. Now, how come it can free us from impulsive and routine activities? Because in reflective thinking, just as I have mentioned before in our cycle, we can act, we can rethink and reflect, reevaluate, and then think of future activities that we can do to make the outcome better. So if we see that this turned out to be like this, if we wanted to improve it, there should be something that we change in the process of what we have done. So that would be for our future thinking. So we are going to change our routine activities in doing that. Now we have 5 domains of reflection, and it includes professional development, academic domain of reflection, personal development, interpersonal engagement, and systems engagement and social justice. And we are going to focus on academic or professional reflection as we are discussing about reflective pedagogy in education. Now, in academic and professional reflection, there should be an understanding first of the context of learning. Because if we do not understand learning, we won't be able to to perform the learning process. And also, there should be an understanding of our own contribution to the context. And of course, we also need to be able to identify what is reflection. Because if we do not know what is learning and what is reflection, we won't be able to do the action of reflecting and learning. Now, explaining why these experiences have played out or what could be different is also part of our academic and professional reflection because we should be able to explain even to ourselves what has happened, what you have experienced, and you should be able to identify what has gone wrong or what could have been done better so we can have a better output or an outcome. And using all of this knowledge to reimagine and ultimately improve future experience is a critical part of the academic and professional reflection because this means that we have gained knowledge, we have learned from our mistakes or from our experiences, and we were able to improve and make our experience better. And this is based on Denton of 2011. Now, there are key features of reflection. So, what are they? Now, reflection is an active and dynamic process that can be involved in reflecting on an action. If we say reflecting on an action, this is a past experience. And reflecting in an action, this is on an incident that is happening or is happening at the present. So we have to be careful in using reflecting on and reflecting in, and also we have reflecting for. We use reflecting for an action if the actions that we are pertaining to is an action that we would like to take or we wish to take in the future. Now, what is the importance of knowing what is reflecting on, reflecting in, and reflecting for? Now, they tell us what is our plan. So we reflect on our previous experiences. These were actions or incidences that happened in our past. It could be yesterday, it could be last week, or past weeks. And reflecting in is currently happening today. So, for example, we are in the lecture today. If something happened and you wanted to change that and make it better, we have to reflect in it. And if we have other plans for the future, we are going to reflect for it. Now, we can also conceptualize in our head, ask ourselves to be able to reflect our actions. First, we can ask ourselves the question, what? When we ask ourselves, what, this is describing what has happened in our experience for today or from yesterday or the other day. So that would be reflecting on and reflecting in. Now, after thinking about our reflection of what has happened in the past and what is happening today, there comes the next question of what is so what? Why is that experience significant? What is that happened to us, and why is it significant to our lives? What do we understand, and what do we understand better about it? After internalizing that question to ourselves, we can now ask ourselves, now what? It means we have insights that we have gained from the experience because we are now thinking and asking ourselves, what are we going to do after being able to identify this and that? And what do we plan to do for future? So this is our future learning. We need to plan for the future for us to improve the experience and also to improve ourselves. And we should be able to conceptualize this, teach to our learners if we are teachers, and even to our kids if we are parents. Now, if you're single and if you have nieces and nephews, you can also teach them. Or maybe you can also try this to your pets if you want, because I believe that pets can understand us and they also have their love language to us. Now, why is reflection important to everyone? This is reflection not only in education, but in general. Now, this benefits us, actually, not only the student, but mostly the student. Reflecting and reflective thinking benefits the student to for them to be able to understand themselves better. Actually, if you will think about this by yourself, if you're going to reflect on something that you have done, you have experienced, and you are currently experiencing, you will be able to understand yourself better. Like, why did I do this? Why did I do that? What should I do to be able to make it better or to make myself better? And also, another benefit is for us to be able to resolve uncertainties and complex situations. Why is this? This is because if we ask ourselves and we reflect on our actions, we can resolve any complex situations that we are in. And acceptance is also needed after reflecting, because if we have done something in the past that can be managed better next time, then you were able to accept whatever happens in the past, and we were able to resolve any uncertainties or future uncertainties if ever there will be. Aside from the first two that I have mentioned, another benefit is self awareness. And this is also according to Bandura, Mann, and Gordon and MacLeod. Now, self awareness is important not only for students, but for everyone else in our everyday life. Why? Because self awareness enables us to be able to identify what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. It does not only mean in educational sense, but also in our daily life. And again, accepting our self can help us to be able to understand ourselves and resolve any problems or complex situations that we can get into in the future or even at the present. Now, another benefit of reflection is that we will be able to apply critical thinking and problem solving. Now, everyone has their critical thinking and problem solving skills, but with reflection, it improves it and makes it better because we are able to critically think as to what possible and probable solutions we can do and perform in order to be able to make our outcomes better. And this has been mentioned also in their writings by Perels, Gertler, and Schmitz. Next, another benefit of reflection is that students become effective learners, self learners, and self regulated. We call them self learners because they were able to think and identify what are their strengths and weaknesses, and they are planning. as to what are they going to do in order for them to improve themselves from their weaknesses and enhance themselves from the strengths that they have. And by doing that, they can self-regulate. Now, again, as I have mentioned, this does not only apply to our students. This can also be applied to us adults in our daily lives and even in our work. Now, aside from being able to reflect, of course, there are challenges that may affect us and our students for them to be able to achieve the critical reflection that they are doing. And what are those challenges? One of the challenges for being able to achieve critical thinking, reflective thinking, is the social cultural level. Um, in social cultural level, we have education and societal cultures. We came from different countries, and even from different countries, we came from different regions. We were raised by different parents who has different upbringings, cultures, beliefs, and religions. The social cultural level can affect our reflective thinking and reflective capability and capacity. How is that? Because we were trained, educated, we were taught about that way, so we are going to proceed in following that way and in that path. Now, if it does not include reflective thinking, then we will continue on practicing that and following it. There's nothing wrong into following reflective thinking. There are just some cultures that does not approach towards that, and they will tell you that the usual practice is like this, so we're going to stay being like this. So it's like you're being put into a box other than being able to critically think outside of the box. Another hindrance for our reflective thinking is the institutional level, wherein teaching and learning priorities are different from different areas, regions, and again in different countries. We as teachers would like our learners to be able to improve themselves at the peak and also the best that we can for them. However, due to our responsibilities as educators, call of duties, and also call of paperworks, which is, I think, most Filipino teachers here can relate, that we do have a lot of paperworks to do. So sometimes institutional level of teaching and learning priorities can become a hindrance and not be very supportive for our learners in terms of their reflective thinking. Also, the lack of institutional support for our materials, emotional, psychological, and trainings can also be a part of institutional support that can be a reason for us to not be able to use reflective thinking and be able to administer reflective thinking to our learners and from our learners. Another is the teacher pedagogical level and student learning level. These two can coincide with each other because in order for us to be able to support reflective thinking, we have to be very supportive as teachers. There should be reflective practices, reflective approaches, and of course, no matter how much our teachers use the reflective approach and help our learners, if the students or the learners are not willing to be able to learn from it, use it, and critically think using reflective approach, then it won't go through and it won't proceed as a success. So it has to be two-way for teacher and students. Now, how are we going to develop reflective thinkers? Our students, our learners, our kids, our relatives, or even ourselves, or even in our workplace. How are we going to do that? So we have reflection literacy. So we can do it in academic literacy, reflection knowledge and skills, social emotional insights, and also assessment literacy. So for academic literacy, This is the ability for us to be able to communicate completely in an academic discourse. This would not be enclosed only to our learners and to our teachers, because we also have what we call as our stakeholders. So we have stakeholders, that is our internal stakeholders. Those are the people inside our school, like our administration team, our teachers, personnel, school personnels, and then we also have our external stakeholders. Of course, we need help from our surrounding and community, because education and learning can do and be better with the help of our community and with the help of our external stakeholders. And also, reflection knowledge and skills is important for our reflection literacy. How is that? Reflection knowledge and skills involve understanding and reflection means and ways. And again, as I have mentioned earlier, first we have to be able to understand, know, and contextualize what is reflection. We should be understanding, and we know how to define reflection, how to do reflection and reflecting, how to teach reflection and reflecting to other people, not only to the younger ones, but also even to our colleagues, same ages. Because if we do not know the meaning, we do not know how to do it, then we cannot be self aware, we cannot improve, and we will not be able to internalize, visualize, apply, reapply, rethink, and critically think about it. And for social emotional insights, part of our reflection literacy, um, we have to be able to acknowledge the attitudes and issues that arise from ethical aspects in assessment, teacher student power, relationship, and emotional dynamics of students. For example, in my class, I have 30 to 50 learners in a class. Each and every one of them have different attitudes, beliefs, and habits. So we have to take note of that for us to be able to understand them. And in that same way, we reflect on our skills as a teacher on how to better handle them. Now, based on their behavior, their emotional dynamics, sometimes even their social cultural differences, we can learn from them as to how to better handle our classes. Now, in that way, we can make them learn better the learning areas or the subject areas that we are teaching them. Now, the next thing that we have to do is for us to be able to make them realize the same way and the same approach, and that they can apply it also in their education, that they can reflect on what we give them, whether they have different teachers or same teacher in all in all subject areas. I'm sorry, and then they can learn from their reflection that we have taught them on how to reflect on it. And then we have our assessment literacy in reflection or literacy. Assessment literacy involves understanding the purpose and the processes of our assessment. So, why are we giving the assessment? How are we giving the assessment? And what are the different ways that we can or we are going to give the assessment? The different types of learners we use as different types of assessment. Of course, we have fast learners, we have slow learners, and then we also come to a time that we need to have remediation to our learners. So, the type of approach that we are going to give them, the type of assessment that we are going to give them, depends on everything that we have observed. And observation is still part of our reflective approach and reflective cycle. If you have started our lecture earlier, you would have seen that observation is one of the parts and critical parts of our reflective literacy, reflective approach in education. Now, what are we going to do? to be able to provide and support reflective thinking. In order to provide and support our learners, ourselves, our colleagues to become reflective thinkers and to improve their reflective thinking skills, of course, we have to give them enough time. We need to give them more time for them to be able to realize and reflect on the actions that they have done in the past, in the present, and then for them to critically think for the future and the corrections or the additionals or the changes that they needed to do in order to make things go better. Their experience has become better from the past ones and the current ones that they were having. Also, we have to give them emotional supportive environment. Now, when we say supportive environment, this is not only the physical surrounding that they have, but physical surrounding is important. It has to give them peace of mind, solemn and quiet. However, there are also students or even adults who have a different approach in their supportive environments. Others prefer having music around them while doing things, so that would be their support. And emotional supportive environment also includes the people surrounding them. So whether this are their parents, their relatives, their teachers, their peers, and classmates, or even from other sections, other grade levels, or those people outside of the school. Those are their emotional and support in the environment. Now, for us adults, that would be mostly our families or our colleagues at work and the people that we encounter and meet on our daily lives. Another support and for our reflective thinking is the process of mistakes as a learning opportunity. We shouldn't make a mistake as a term for punishment, but rather make it as a learning opportunity to ourselves and to our students. It becomes a learning opportunity when we ask them to think critically what has happened wrong, what can they do to make it better, or what could have they done to make the outcome better. So this is a learning opportunity rather than punishing them and giving them the merits for the mistakes that they have done. Another way of supporting for our students to become reflective thinkers are providing them with classroom activities that provides integration of their experiences from real lives, from their daily lives, from their way from home to school or from school back to home, or their other experiences like going visiting relatives somewhere else or any other experiences that they can have. Now, why is that important? Because when you do reflective thinking, you think of what you have experienced. And life experiences are authentic and real. They can be real problems or just experiences that made them feel better and happy. Now, they can reflect from that and they can think if they are going to repeat it or make it better or what can they do to improve it even more. Another way of providing support for our learners is modeling of metacognitive and self-explanation strategies. Now, others may think that this is harder than the other, but actually it is still easy for our learners because this would be self-explanatory strategies for them. um, I believe that the best way to do is for them to be able to use their mother tongue in explaining and also into expressing themselves because they are more comfortable in using their mother tongue in self-explaining their experiences and what they think about the reflection that they have made from the action and actions that they have done in the past. So this would involve their metacognitive and self-explanation. And another one is to give them study guides or advanced organizers. Others do not want to give the learners study guides, but I believe that this is important for learners because we have several subjects for the day. They go to school at 7 a.m., usually in the Philippines, and sometimes they go out or finish their classes 3:30 or 4, especially if they were under the special science curriculum program. Having organizers and study guides is important because they will be able to organize their thoughts, their thinking, and they can have their reflective journal at the same time. So I'm jumping to the third one. Reflective journal can be a part of their daily routine and life for reflective thinking, because if they do have study guide and they can take notes in their journals for their reflective journals, this has happened today, I can do this next time to make the experience better, to improve the experience, to learn more, to gain more, or because they do not want to experience any mistakes again. And of course, the social learning environment is important to support our reflective thinking. It's not good if we demoralize them. It will be better if we support them, improve their socialization and learning environment, so they can improve their reflective thinking skills. And we also have what we call as the ABCs of our reflective thinking, the ABC question that includes affect, behavior, and cognition question. And we do this affect, behavior, and cognition question before learning a topic. For example, there is a topic. What would be the effective way, or the effective learnings that we get from it? And then we have the behavior. What would happen? How would we feel about it? And then cognition, the retention to our memories. Now, we use the ABCs when setting a plan or developing a goal. Some of us may have seen this before in our learning objectives, because there should be effective, behavioral, and cognitive questions that we can answer based on teaching our learners. And the ABCs can be used and can be very effective during and after our instruction. And instruction here does not necessarily means that you command them. Instruction can also mean teaching them a lesson in a class. Okay. And thank you to our participants who have said yes and they can relate to our topic for today. Now, these are just a few of the ideas that we have here for student reflection. These student reflections are not required for us to use in our class. Of course, it depends on the class that we have. For example, I myself have 5 classes of math subjects, 1 hour each. So we use different approach, different styles depending on the type of class that we have. So for example, I have my special science class. They can use devices, tablets, e-tablets coming from the DCP project of DepEd in ComLab or in their classroom. So I use the reflective approach by using different online applications like Mentimeter, and then we also have some Google Forms. We also have some Slido, because we have question and answer portion in Slido, and other applications that you can remember using in your online classes. We can do that also offline, asynchronous and synchronous, with our learners. So this can be through distance modular teaching, online teaching, or hybrid teaching. So I'm just going to present you some ideas. So first, we can start with a powerful question in our class. So for example, we start off with, what did I learn from our past lesson? You ask them what have they learned from the past lesson, so they can explain, or they can reflect to themselves what they have learned in the past. And then, so what does it mean if we have learned this? And also, we can also ask them, now what? What are we going to do next to improve our experiences and do it better? Another idea that we can use in our class is to let our students tweet it out. So tweet does not necessarily means that they need to have a Twitter account, or you have to make them post everything on Facebook or Instagram or their other social network sites that they have, their social media accounts. Because, of course, as an advocate of cybersecurity, it would be very good if we avoid using the social media in classes, especially if this is not on privacy, because it would open our learners to the world and to the globe. Now, even if not using actual Twitter account, we can let our student reflect on a lesson or a topic or an issue that we are discussing in class in about 140 characters or less, or maybe 150. Or you can also ask them to do it like a phrase, but not necessarily a very lengthy essay. Just a short reflection on what they have learned today or what they have experienced for the class on that specific day or time or topic of the lesson. We can also try the 1 minute paper. So, what is a 1 minute paper? We give the students 1 minute for them to be able to write in a paper describing what they have learned. They can actually use just one word, because sometimes just one word is too powerful enough for them to be able to reflect and tell us exactly what they have learned for the class. For example, they have learned empathy for their lesson for the day. And then another one, we can try the sketch notes. So, what are sketch notes? We can let our students jot a quick drawing with notes to explain their thinking. We also have learners' differences in their abilities to think and intellectual. So we have several types of intellectual, and being able to draw what they have learned is one of it. So we have students who are not good in verbally expressing themselves. They can try drawing, and for them to be able to show what they have reflect on for today's lesson or for the past lesson. Another one is a video reflection. Now, we can do this as a group or we can do this individually, that they can reflect through a video recording. I'm sorry, a quick recording of themselves, if they have the gadget. So again, let us not require our learners of this if we are aware that they do not have the necessary gadgets for it, because we still need to analyze each of them before we use the strategy or the idea for them to be able to reflect. We do not want to burden them about reflecting. And another one would be using Google Forms. So Google Forms is one of the common ones that we have now. And aside from Google Forms, there are other platforms that we can use, like ClassPoint. I believe there was a topic before that we have ClassPoint in our lesson here in IGP. And kudos to our speaker for ClassPoint and also with Microsoft, especially for our teacher educators from the Philippines, because we are now migrating from Google to Microsoft Office 365. So we can use any of them because we have them all right now. And yes, according to one of our participants, sometimes they can reflect during the classes. Yes, during our discussion, our learners can reflect right at that moment. That's why I have mentioned earlier, they can reflect on, reflect in, and reflect for. So during our classes, our students are reflecting in the lesson itself, or they are reflecting exactly at the same moment with their answer to you. So, for example, I have experienced that I asked a learner a question in math because I'm teaching math. So, she was answering, and while she was answering, she is already reflecting with her answer, and she already mentioned that she wanted to change her answer to correct herself because she realized that her answer while she was telling her answer that she can add something else to make it better. So that is reflecting in to what is happening currently to her during the class. And of course, last but not least, in the 7 ideas for student reflection, is we can just let the student choose among all of these ideas that we have in here as to how they will be able to reflect on our lesson for the day or the past lesson. Why? Again, we have several learners in our class. They have different identities, they have different origins, they have different habits in learning, they have different ideas, and also they have different capacities and capabilities as to what they can do and use. We have visual learners, we have verbal ones that can express their ideas and thoughts visually and verbally. So we can just let them choose among any of the ideas that we have. We shouldn't limit them to just one option. We can actually give them all the options that we have in our hands that we can hand over them for them to be able to better understand themselves. Again, that is a part of being able to support our learners in their reflective thinking. Now, that these 7 ideas and thoughts that I have given you are just example. If you were able to critically think today and reflect on our lecture for today, of course, you can think of other ideas and other thoughts that you can use in your class for them to be able to reflect on their lesson. And I hope that you can further reflect on our topic for today so you can have more options for your learners and students in their reflecting and reflective thinking in our education. Whether this is in the Philippines, in Bangladesh, in Indonesia, in Myanmar, in India. And again, let us not forget that education is important and we have to support our learners and our emotional and psychological selves. That would be all. Thank you very much to everyone, especially to our team IGP, the IT and tech support. Let us all stay clean, stay safe, and stay at home for the meantime because it's evening and we are going back to our works tomorrow, and hoping that everyone will be able to apply reflective thinking not only in education but in our daily life. Once again, this is Hannah Carissa Valle from Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your rich content presentation, which can impact our knowledge seekers surely, ma'am. After your presentation, After your presentation, I hope our knowledge seekers can learn something new, which was our only intention. Learn and grow together, IHP knowledge seekers, ma'am. Once again, thank you so much, dear ma'am, for your presentation. Now, ma'am, it's time for our question answer part, which is the most valuable part of our regular webinar. Alright, ma'am, please stay with us, and after a short video, we will come back in our next session, part 2, which is the question answer part. Dear IGB knowledge seeker, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have a webinar certification and online quiz competition. After a short video, we'll come back, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Stay with us. Welcome back, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, our first question from Facebook user: how can reflective thinking enhance teaching practice?
Yes. Reflective thinking really enhances our teaching processes. Now, how can it enhance our teaching process and practices? Um, as a teacher myself, I get improving myself by reflective thinking and also by teaching my students how to do the reflective thinking themselves. How is that? I myself would think, how can I do my lesson better? So, for example, here in the Philippines, we have what we call our daily lesson plans and daily lesson logs. So, there is a procedure that you follow that these are the steps and way that you can teach your class and your lesson. Now, if you do reflective thinking, you're going to think by yourself, depending on the type of students that you're going to teach for that specific time or for that specific lesson, what type of students they are. How can they understand the lesson better? And what are you going to do to make them understand your lesson better? So, with your reflective thinking skills, you enhance also your teaching skills because you improve yourself right away for your learners to be able to understand your lesson. Not even before you even start teaching the lesson itself. So you also avoid reteaching of a topic because you have already reflected that, oh, these are the type of students that I have. So by reflectively thinking about that, these are the things that I would do. Or also, you can do this in remediation or reteaching your lesson. My students weren't able to understand it when I used this process, this procedure, or this way of presenting my lesson. By reflective thinking, you reflected to yourself, it didn't work, so I have to use another strategy or another way in order for them to better understand the lesson. So that would be my answer for the question, and I hope I was able to answer his or her question to satisfy the person who asked. Thank you.
Most welcome for your answer. Our second question, Litrin Barha: how can we empower students to make our job easier while also strengthening them as thinker and um, what's this? Doors.
Oh, the worst. Yes. Um, we can empower our students by using some of the thoughts that I had mentioned earlier, ways into being supportive to our reflective thinking and reflective way of thinking. We can use one or more than one, but better if we do more than two of the approaches that I have mentioned, supporting them environmentally, emotional, supportive environment, and then giving them enough time and ample time for them to be able to use their reflective thinking, and you will be able to see them that they are being empowered as well. They change their ways and they learn from themselves, and it will make your job easier as a teacher because they can reflect on themselves and their way of learning the lesson. So for example, I have a student who fell asleep in class because he was playing every night, and so he reflected on himself that for him to better understand the lesson in math, he shouldn't be able to fall asleep. So when you ask him what he should do, he should avoid playing longer times when it's weekdays. So that was just a simple example. But of course, there will be other examples that you can experience in class, and you can make them reflect on themselves rather than ordering them that this is the right thing to do because they can change their own ways themselves.
Thank you, ma'am, for your answer. Our second question from Litrin Barha: which learning models, technologies, grouping strategy, teaching conference, collaboration, mm, opportunities, project-based learners, ideas, etc., are going to be more interesting for students?
Mm. Okay. Um, it depends on the type of the students that you have in your class. So, for example, we have several classes and several sections. you have to identify first the type of students that you have in the group for you to be able to identify which strategy are you going to use. I'm going to give an example on my own class. I have a special science class, and they are capable of using gadgets in the class with our e-classroom and e-tablets. So I use online activities since we have Wi-Fi in the room. I use applications such as Kahoot, quizzes, Mentimeter, and other application. And they can even post on Google classrooms and Google forms. So that one is interesting for them, and that's the practice. However, on other classes that I have, I don't use that because they are not capable of using that. So we use arts, and then we use the notes, the post-it notes, and other means that they can. Mostly, I would ask them to choose from several choices and options. They can be grouped, they can be by themselves, and I use them also during teacher conferences when we have our seminars and trainings. And here in the Philippines, we call it as school learning action cells. We can actually use reflective thinking and approach in our Slack sessions. That would be all. Thank you.
Our next question from Hanna. Hello, ma'am. Is there a template for recording academic professionals' reflections?
Reflections. Actually, there would be no template and recordings of academic professional reflections. However, in this lecture, of course, you can go back and log into IGP, EDU IGP. And when you go to the site of EDU IGP, you can rewatch the video and the presentation. However, I cannot share right now my presentation because this was a presentation that I made myself. Yes, but you can rewatch it and pause and copy from our presentation records from IGP.
Thank you. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box because our speaker is waiting for your question. Please ask your question in the comment box. Ma'am, I hope you covered full topic properly. That's why here is no more question.
Yes. It looks like there would be no questions. And can I say something first?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, thank you to our IGP team, very supportive and very proactive into helping us to be able to provide our lecture easily and with ease. And also, thank you to all our participants, especially our kababayans from the Philippines and all over the world. And shout out to Pagsanghan District from SDO Laguna, our supervisors and co-teachers. I hope to be able to see you again on my next topic in IGP. And to our host, thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, once again, thank you so much, Honorable Ma'am, for your time in IGP. We have learned a lot from you with new topics. It will add some values to our day-to-day activity along with our academic and professional growth. Honorable Ma'am, hope to see you again with a new topic and a new date. Thank you, ma'am. Take care.
Take care, everyone. Good night.
Honorable ma'am, before we move to the next webinar certification process, if you want to leave this studio, you can, ma'am.
Thank you again. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am. IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the webinar certification process, the most attractive part and for regular webinar. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have an online quiz competition and quiz certification. It's time for the webinar certification process, the most attractive and powerful part of our regular webinar. After a short video, we'll start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have an online quiz certification. Thank you. Today's are some technical problems. We cannot share our certificate code. We'll provide our certificate code in a short time. Thank you. Today's are some technical problems. We cannot share our certificate code. We'll provide our certificate code in a short time. Yeah, as we know, listeners, it's time for the most engaging part of this webinar, which is an online quiz competition, which is an our regular activity. Now, online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instruction carefully. First of all, you have to go www.slido.com and find today's quiz or scan this QR code. And the code is Global IGP. After a short video, we will come back. Enjoy your quiz session. IGP knowledge seekers, please join in Slido with code and the code is global IGP. IGP knowledge seekers, please join in Slido with code and the code is global IGP. Join in Slido with code and the code is global IGP. IGP knowledge seekers, please join in Slido with code and the code is global IGP. Now time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instruction carefully. First of all, you have to go www.slido.com, then find today's quiz or scan this QR code for direct joining and the code is global IGP and the code is global IGP. We will pick your name from quiz Slido, so join with your full name, which will be directly printed on quiz certificate. Let's start. 34% people joined us. আরেকজন join করো আরেকজন join করো IGP knowledge seekers, please join in Slido with code and the code is global IGP. Let's start. Our first question is STEM refers to education in the areas of first option is scholarship, training, engineering and mathematics, and second option is science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Science, technology, engineering and mathematics is the right answer and 97% people are right. Moving to the next question and our second long question is approach to education that all young children have opportunities to play and learn together in the variety of settings. First option is inclusion and second option is special education. First option is inclusion and second option is special education. Inclusion is the right answer and 65% people are right. Moving to the next question and our third long question is an action plan in a reflective journal helps to first option is improve particular skill and second option is prepare for exam. Improve particular skills is the right answer and 97% people are right. Moving to the next question and our fourth long question is there is a department for education in the federal government. Is it true or false? First option is true and second option is false. If you join, first of all you have to go www.slido.com, then find today's quiz or scan this QR code for direct joining and the code is global IGP and the code is global IGP. 22% people are right. False is the right answer. 22% people are right. Moving to the next question and our fifth long question is one of the major areas of tension and education is uniformity and diversity. Is it true or false? Is it true or false? True is the right answer and 91% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our sixth long question is, in this theoretical approach, the learner are viewed as active in the learning process. First option is behaviorism and second option is constructivism. Constructivism is the right answer and 60% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our seventh long question is, pedagogical assumptions are related to expectations of defined approach. First option, and second option is values and beliefs. Values and beliefs is the right answer and 6% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our seventh and our eighth question is, and teaching approach consists of, first option is theoretical principle and second option is role of instructional principle. First option is theoretical principle and second option is role of instructional principle. Theoretical principle is the right answer and 57% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our ninth question is, Department of Education, Culture and Sports underwent tripocalization. Which of the FF does not belong in the groups? First option is Department of Education and second option is Commission of Higher Education. Commission of Higher Education is the right answer and 88% people are right. Moving to the next and final question in this session is, pedagogical personality is related to, first option is confidence and second option is teaching approach. First option is confidence and second option is teaching approach. Teaching approach is the right answer and 69% people are right. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition winners top 10. Congratulations again. Slide will take a few minutes for finalizing the result, and after that we will issue our online quiz competition certificates on our official Facebook page and groups, Institute of Global Professionals. Congratulations to our webinars online quiz competition winners top 10. Congratulations again. Slide will take a few minutes for finalizing the result, and after that we will issue our online quiz competition certificate in our official Facebook page and groups, Institute of Global Professionals. At the end moment of our session, we can say properly fits your skills. Never stop learning, cause life never stop teaching us. Be happy and stay safe. See you again and again. We want your participation in every program. If you want to a happy life, tied to a goal, not to people or things. Albert Einstein. Before I say or hit the end live button, again wants to thank all IGP knowledge seeker for your active participation as always. See you again in the next session. next session. Thank you. Thank you for joining with us and staying with us. Thank you, everyone.